Welcome to my channel. I decided to make a video about my colored mermaids. I actually was surprised how many of them I managed to do over the years. I tried to select mermaids from various artists from various books. So if you are searching for a nice mermaid picture for Mermay, maybe you will be able to find something which is more inspiring for you. Let's start from Herb Leonhardt, it's fantasy novel, and one of the mermaids which I did. Usually when I color mermaids, I love to experiment with the colors of their tails and scales, of course, and colors of their hair. This one, it's golden. I remember that I used some budget pencils because on this paper we can work with Arteza, we can work with Sucolor pencils, so nothing very special. Maybe only for skin I used Prismacolors. There are a lot of mermaids in the books by Martin Noble. I have this quite simple book. It's even from the children's series by Davar, but I love it because apart from mermaid portraits, we also have a short story and we have mermaids from different parts of the world. Here is Poland, Warsaw mermaid, the symbol of the city. They have amazing monument to the mermaid, the guardian of the city, and I try to show that she is not from the tropical areas. That's why she has more severe, more dark color for the clouds, for the sky. It was interesting. I used again budget pencils. I blended a lot of grays with additional colors like blue or lilac to achieve such effects. The second one, it's actually tropical. It's a Caribbean girl, and here we have the short legend about her. Yes, maybe they are a little bit too simplified but for relaxed coloring, I think that it's a very nice book. Even if it's double-sided, I can work in it very well with pencils. One of the most beautiful mermaids I have in this fantasy mermaids book. I was quite happy to discover that behind the name of Color Mood there is a Ukrainian artist. Paper is thin Amazon, but it's one-sided, so you can use markers and pencils. But I did these pictures when I didn't have a decent set of markers, so almost everything is done with pencils, markers only for details. So far I did this shipwreck mermaid, another one here. I really love that mermaids, they have lovely faces, but also we have a lot of marine creatures. And this one. Again, I tried to do this golden tail with a lot of shiny scales. Not the best color choice because it was slightly lost because the background has similar shades, but her face, her hair, extremely lovely. Now when I have bigger set of markers, I think that it will be easier to color in this book. Next, Mermaids by Selina Fenech. This picture I mostly love because of the background. Yes, mermaid is also lovely and I do love water and I do love tail. I think that it looks shiny on top and nice transparent end of the tail. But yes, background is more interesting part for me. I think that it's really part of the story. Here we have like dramatic love between the angel and between mermaid, and I try to do quite dramatic thunderstorm clouds, a lot of gray colors with additional gray lavender, and I added a little bit of sunlight, rays of light coming through the clouds On these clouds I added a little bit of yellow on edges, so I hope that it looks like a beginning of hope, this beginning of sunlight. I think that background complemented the story. When I finished it, I was extremely proud. Honestly, I colored so many mermaids already that I need to do something like challenge. Remember challenge, color your pumpkins. I need to do a challenge, count your mermaid tails. Very simple picture in Escape to Shakespeare Waltz by Good Wives and Warriors. Absolutely nothing special, but she is lovely, and another color combo for mermaid's tail. Of course, I have the whole book dedicated to mermaids, and it's by Dennis Klett. I struggled a little bit with many pictures here because paper didn't allow me to work with watercolor. And when you color mermaids, I think that watercolor background is usually the best choice. But in the end, I started to work more with acrylic paints and with gouache, so less transparent, more opaque paints, and things started to work better. That's one of my favorite pictures here. Apart from this one, I had not very successful pictures, some crazy experiments maybe 10 years ago with solvent for pencils, some pictures which I did with ink tans. Where is my favorite body positive mermaid? Here. I absolutely love her. And many other lovely pictures. I don't color in this book during last years. Maybe I will return to it, but I promised to do a page in gnomes, so if I decide to do something in Dennis Klett books, it will be picture in gnomes. They are quite big to do background with pencils, so I definitely need to get my sets of acrylic and gouache paints if I want to continue coloring here. The only page where watercolor worked quite well, I don't know why. Okay, let's move now to the mermaid created by Emily Lindehol-Oberg. Now, when this book is finally available, you can also color such mermaid. For mine, I tried to do a watercolor background. Usually in this book I prefer to use acrylic, but for mermaid I decided to use indigo, very simple background, but it's still slightly bleeded through. I hope that I will manage to cover it when I do the page on the back. And I know that in the new edition of the book paper is great, so you will be able to use watercolor. Apart from this small problem with paint, I'm absolutely happy with this one. I am happy with hair color which I selected. It immediately attracts all attention to her face. Something new for me to do such hair color. I love her eyes, and it was fun to color all the things which we have around her face. Totally different style, it's dark fairy tales, and in this book I almost completed the whole story about mermaid. I think that I just need to color one page. Let me show you from the beginning. I can color in this book very quickly because I absolutely love how markers work on this paper. So the whole background it's markers, and only for the main characters it's pencils. Another color combo for her tail. I think that it looks very shiny with nice end of the tail. I think that it's really a focal point of the whole page with such vibrant tail. Next one is much more dramatic. I decided that with all muted or pastel colors and cold color combo, it will be a good focal point with this red potion and blood. Very dramatic page, but I think that it's one of the best works in this book. This one is unfinished. Another dramatic moment when she is pushed by her sisters to make a revenge. The most challenging part was to show her transformation from the human body back to mermaid. So I added scales and different color here on the bottom part of her legs. And the death of mermaid. You can see that I almost finished it. Now, Mermaid created by Kinuka Craft, Myth and Magic, another book which I own for years and it's still lovely. I started to color here when I had a lesser amount of pencils, when I had limited coloring skills. Now I think that I am ready to return and to do much more interesting pictures here. But this one I absolutely love. Again, golden tail, but slightly more muted color for scales, still looks shiny. And I wanted to make this stars falling from the sky and into arms of the mermaid. Everything done with pencils, but because it has very nice paper, you can blend them, you can apply many layers, and Prismacolors allowed me to do this background and body of the mermaid. Very lovely. Next one is Briar coloring book. I remember clearly that to color mermaid here, it was the easiest part, but I wanted to do this waterfalls and something tender for the sky. I'm still very proud of this work. Sometimes when I look at it, I don't know how I had so much patience to do this pencil background. Again, it's one of the works where I am proud of myself. It was a big challenge, but I managed to do it completely like I imagined it in my head. Very happy. In books by Tomislav Tomic, I didn't have a good luck with pictures with mermaids. I always managed to mess up some elements. In Zemlya Snova, the first book, I have this mermaid with black pearl, and I do love the pearl, even fishes and mermaid, but sometimes I look at this page and I ask myself, why you select such crazy chartreuse and light green colors for the upper part of the water. It was too much. I think that bottom part created much better contrast to mermaid body. So this part which is bothering me. In Villain Sun, I had a good start doing these corals, but later when I selected colors for mermaid, her hair and her tail, they weren't bright enough to be visible against such a detailed and colorful background. So even if she's supposed to be the focal point, now she is almost completely lost. The coral and fishes, they look much more vibrant. The only thing which helped me a little bit to save things, it's this orange which I added in the end. But still, now I would select different colors either for the coral or for her hair. Maybe if I select something greenish here or completely yellow golden hair, maybe it would be better. Well, anyway, I realized that in Tomislav Tomic I need to do much more careful color planning. Now from Tomislav Tomic we are moving to Fabiana Attanasio. In deep blue, I did mermaid. decorated with corals. I really loved her hair. I think that it was her hair which attracted me to this page. The whole picture is very lovely, and I think that it's a good contrast between color of water, those very vibrant fishes, and pastel colors on the bottom part. Lovely, and I even managed to use all those lines. Fabiana adds a lot of such elements, but at least here I can color them as tiny waves. For water background it was okay. Sometimes I don't know what to do with such lines for different pictures. So she is also one of my favorite mermaids. You can see how many pictures from various artists I managed to collect and to color. Next, book by Josephine Wall, quite rare and quite complicated. This mermaid I did completely with watercolor. It was my first page in the book, so I wanted to test paper. Well, I can't say that I like it. Yes, for my skills it was okay, but maybe addition of white now it make her not very good. So something is bothering me here. Maybe area which I dislike is her hair. Tail is okay, but definitely not hair. Her skin made with watercolor looks quite lovely. I do love upper part of the tail because we can clearly see the shine of the scales. Her hair, not my favorite part. In the end, I have books by Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. I think that Jasmine Beckett Griffiths creates one of the most adorable mermaids, and she has very nice selection of them. More tender, more fierce, with various companions, and it's a pity that in Mermaid's books I managed to do only 2 pictures and one in her first book. Let me show you more dramatic. It's Mermaid Eclipse. Here I was so concentrated on this dramatic background, this red sky, this red-black clouds, then those unusual color blends for waves. So when on the last step I did her tail, maybe I had to work more carefully on the scales. Now for me her scales on the tail, they look like small illness. Sorry guys. So these scales in gold, I thought that they would add shining effect on the tail, but now I don't like how I did her tail. Apart from it, I do love her face, her hair, everything is okay apart from this element. But I think that I can be proud of the background. It wasn't an easy challenge, so that was nice area to color. In Mermaids, I definitely need to return to this book, especially now when we have news about another book by Jasmine. I absolutely love all books published by Blue Angel Publishing. They print books on amazing paper. I love artists which they select for coloring books. But why would I purchase another book if I hadn't colored in Jasmine Beckett Griffiths for years already? I need to color in her books more actively if I want to justify purchasing another book. So here I have this soft shell, and Mermaid is surrounded by various creatures and shells. I don't know, it was complicated, so for the original picture I think that it was the best which I managed to do, but somehow it didn't have the final balance of colors here. Something, maybe it's a little bit too vibrant, but I do love her hair and face, especially on the dark background. It looks lovely. My second completed picture here I love much more. It has more limited color palette, it has more interesting color blends everywhere. Inside of the jar with microcosm on her coat, to brown color of her hair I also added a little bit of lavender to make color more interesting. And I remember when I did this pencil background, this area kind of smoke coming from the potion bottle, I did accidentally because I didn't cover this area carefully with pencil. I had some pencil strokes. When I started to mask them, I realized that I actually can use this area as a part of composition, and I think that it looks very lovely. Again, paper here is so good that everything you can imagine, all the effects, light on dark, additional color accents, you can do it. I especially love to work on this paper with Prismacolor. Oh well, wish me luck. Maybe this year I managed to do a couple of pictures by Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. I have no reason why I stopped to coloring her books. Maybe because I have requests to color something in other books. I constantly reminded about more popular artists. I don't know, so no excuses at all, because I love all of her books, and I think that one of the books which I own, it's even completely untouched. I love her Halloween book. I love book about Alice, and I still don't color in them. The biggest amount of pictures finished I have in the first one. So maybe during this Mermay, I at least managed to add something to book about mermaids. I can clearly recommend these books by Blue Angel. You will enjoy working on this paper. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that some of the color combos which I used for tails or hair of mermaids, some of these pictures will be inspiring for you, and you will find perfect mermaid to participate in Mermay coloring contest, which we usually do in May. Thanks for watching, and until the next videos. And I forgot to show you mermaid, which I did in Colorless Kingdom. Here. I remember that it was a challenging coloring because of the paper. First, I wasn't happy with the background, then not very successful areas I masked with a lot of foam. It also helped me to maintain atmosphere of storm, and the main character I absolutely love. Maybe the pirate looks a little bit more interesting. At least I really enjoyed coloring his clothes. I think that they really look three-dimensional. I managed to show all the folds on the fabric, but she's also nice. I think that with such color of tail and veils, she looks really shiny. I am not sure how happy will be their story, but for now, picture looks quite nice. Dark, muted colors of the background and vibrant colors for the main characters. I also remember that I felt like I managed to create a big win when I finished this one, because it was a struggle with paper, and I was afraid that I will mess up with skin, I will mess up with their faces, but in the end everything worked. So despite all the problems, it's totally possible to color in Colorless Kingdom. I won't be doing mermaid this year, but I will select something else, because now when I looked at this picture, I remember how much I usually enjoy when I manage to do something nice in this book, and I definitely need to continue. Maybe another mermaid from this book I will postpone until the next year, but I promise that in May or June I will return to these books.